cringe or style? Hi, my name is Nana and I've recently fallen in love with wearing socks with sandals. Why only recently? What has happened? And when I talk about socks with sandals, I mean open sandals, not the Birkenstock, Boston or Tokyo type, but sandals in which your toes can breathe and that make your sock very visible. Socks with sandals had been an absolute fashion no-go, a fashion taboo only until recently. And especially for me as a German, wearing socks with sandals had been unthinkable. I am quite resistant to the commandments of the fashion industry, but I hate living up to national stereotypes. And although people have worn socks with sandals all over the world over the centuries, there is this persistent cliche of the German tourist with the white socks and the trekking sandals. But fashion magazines have reported more and more about socks with sandals, maybe starting 2010 and probably triggered by celebrities embracing this style. And I mean, this feels amazing. Maybe those German tourists had a point all along. In 2020, there was the New York Times article called "There Are No Fashion Rules Anymore." And in this article, the author describes how fashion used to be a top-down process. So big designers and magazine editors dictated what was fashionable and not. And this has completely shifted during and after the pandemic with the rise of social media. Now basically everyone with a TikTok account can become a fashion influencer and shape the tastes and preferences of millions around the globe. Now, fashion is much more a bottom-up process with individuals deciding what they feel comfortable in and confident with. And this is often a process of trial and error with complete expressive and creative freedom, which is amazing because now socks with sandals can be cool. Yay! And to boost your confidence for wearing socks with sandals, I would now like to make a medical point. So now I'm diving into dermatology. If you find that unpleasant, please skip to the next section in the timeline, but I will spare you the pictures anyway. So we're talking here about athlete's foot or tinea pedis, which is a common, if not the most common, superficial fungal infection of the skin. It causes itchiness, scaling, cracking, and redness, especially between the toes. And when I say it's the most common, then there are different numbers in the literature. One article said 15% of the global population are affected. Another one said at least 70% of everyone worldwide will experience this disease at least once in their lifetime. Tinea pedis is most common in people between the age of 16 and 45, but irrespective of age, everyone can catch it. And men are 2 to 4 times more often infected than women. So this is something that almost everyone has, but no one likes to talk about. These funguses, which are mostly molds, grow on dead layers of the skin and feed on keratin. So they sit on this epidermis of the skin and they try to grow deeper into the skin, but then they are fought off by the immune system. But nevertheless, they can disturb the natural barrier of the skin and allow viruses and bacteria also to go deeper into the skin. That's why tinea pedis can be complicated by secondary bacterial infections, but normally it is very well treatable with creams, powders, and also oral medication. Yeah, and those funguses, they like it wet. They love moist skin that is softened by moisture that allows them to really settle in and inhabit your skin between your toes. Tinea pedis is considered a public health issue because it is contagious and recurrent. It's transmitted either directly or indirectly. The fungus is rubbed off of feet or it travels on skin particles that constantly fall off from your feet. So classic transmission routes are contaminated bathroom floors or towels, etc. Tinea pedis is considered to have been a very rare condition in the past, but it became much more frequent in the 20th century, especially in the 1930s in the US among people of higher socioeconomic status, because those were people who had access to shared spaces like pools, colleges, or athletic centers. Then there was a further increase in prevalence in the second half of the 20th century, mainly driven by urbanization. So people wore more shoes, had more access to fitness clubs, and there was more travel and also wars. because, as the name implies, athlete's foot, people who sweat a lot have the tendency to catch it. So people who do lots of sports and who, yeah, walk around in those public spaces where it is transmitted. But also people who have to wear boots or enclosed footwear in their daily jobs, like construction workers, miners, mountaineers, but also soldiers. Your chances to catch Taenia pedis are almost zero when you walk barefoot all the time in dry areas. So that's why it is much more common in the industrial nations, and that's also why healthcare professionals have said that this is a byproduct of modernity, and they call it a penalty of civilization. In order to prevent Taenia pedis or to prevent reinfection is good foot hygiene. Wash your feet daily with soap, and other than that, keep them dry. Keeping them dry is really the most important thing. That means wearing very well ventilated shoes. Enclosed footwear is actually not good for your feet. And that's why we're bridging back to our main topic, socks with sandals. Because when you wear socks or your hand knit woolen socks and sandals, you can extend the time in the year when you wear sandals. You can also wear them in the colder months, and thereby you stay away from enclosed shoes for longer. And I think this is amazing because I can create my entire outfit around my hand knit socks, put them center stage, and give them the attention they deserve. Yeah, and when we talk about how to combine socks with sandals, remember there are no rules. I can only tell you how I would do it, and I would always look for balance in my outfit. So I probably would not wear socks in very delicate or strap sandals. I feel Birkenstocks are quite ideal. Another type of sandals would probably be Teva or Tiva. And also within the many Birkenstock models, I feel there are some that are less suitable for being worn with socks. For example, the Madrid type that has only one strap quite far in the front of the foot. I feel those are designed to be worn barefoot. The Arizona model I feel is quite ideal. But otherwise, if you want to ease in to wearing socks with sandals, just go for Boston or Tokyo, because yeah, that's pretty established as a style, I would say. Yeah, and I can only show you my hand knit socks with Birkenstocks because I don't own any other type of sandals. Now I'm still living up to a national stereotype after all. Yeah, but maybe we can have a look online and yeah, look up some very cool and pretty combinations of socks with sandals. Some socks with sandals, and yeah, I searched Pinterest for other ideas than my own Birkenstock combinations, and it is quite a Birkenstock heavy on Instagram, on Pinterest too. But there are some other super cute combinations like these sandals. I think they're super pretty, and also combined with some tights in black. I think this is lovely, and I feel it becomes obvious that the thinner the straps of the sandals, the thinner the socks should be, but the other way around it works, like chunkier sandals with thin socks. That's something I've seen a couple of times. Here, obviously shop bought socks, but this is what I mean. Yeah, uh, maybe I wouldn't wear it, but definitely a look. And what I saw also were clogs, and there are some really nice open versions of clogs. For example, these. I mean, this looks lovely, especially with the hand knit socks. And there's just a different vibe to hand knit socks versus shop bought socks. To me, it feels much more natural to wear, hand knit socks in open shoes and sandals. Like here as well, hand knit socks with clogs. It's really nice. And yeah, then we have the Tiva versions with, yeah, you can get them in solid colors or with patterns on them. There was one here, I think this might even be a guy. And these also look like hand knit socks. And when you have like sandals with patterns all over, I would also combine them with a solid colored sock. Yeah, and then you can get also sandals with chunky soles. It's super cool, I think. Teva also has them with plateau soles. And I found lots of this type of sandal. I guess it's camper. Probably other brands make those too. But people combine these with socks a lot. And I think it looks really pretty too. Yeah, and then what I noticed is that it's a lovely combination to combine rustic, chunky socks with very delicate other garments in the outfit, like here a lace skirt. That looks pretty, and this is one of my favorites. Like to have a very like thick, chunky sock, but in white. So the white kind of like gives it a more elegant vibe. And here, for example, these are shop bought socks. Well, yeah, I would always prefer handknit socks with sandals. And you have like all different combinations of Birkenstocks with socks. And here I very much like her choice of trousers, that they leave enough room to make the socks very visible, and that they are quite short. And this is my favorite combination of all times. I mean, this is so beautiful. I mean, the green of the socks themselves, the ribbing and these shoes and the jewelry and everything. I think this is stunning. This is really lovely. I like it. And I also very much like this combination. The rustic Birkenstocks in this rustic color as well, but then those bright white knit socks and also these trousers or the skirt. I think this looks really nice together. Yeah. And ruffles, we love ruffles. So lovely. I mean, the length of the socks with this skirt or the white pants, it's perfect. And I think this is a petite knit sock pattern, if I'm not mistaken. Looks very hand knit, and oh, I love it. This looks really lovely. Also interesting, socks knit only halfway. Why not? And oh, I also love this one. To have like Birkenstocks and then a lace sock. I mean, they look shop bought, but they can be easily replicated with crochet or a lace stitch pattern. I think this is really, really pretty. Well done. And yeah, that's fun. Socks with leggings and sandals. Cool, in my opinion. And yeah, I like these Birkenstocks with the chunky soles. That's really cool. I used to have those when I was 19, but unfortunately I don't have them anymore. Yeah, these are also really nice with the thick soles, the plateau soles, but only a little bit higher, and then the very bright colored socks. I think that's absolutely lovely. Yeah, I got inspired. I'll try out some outfits.